Hello and welcome to another Edexcel iGCSE Computer Science Past Paper question. This is paper 2, the practical paper called Application of Computational Thinking. It is 3 hours long and you will need to program it in either Python, Java or C#. Link to the data files you need along with the paper and mark scheme as always down in the description. So you'll put your details on the front cover there. This will be printed off in your exam. You'll get a copy of this, hard copy of this, and scroll to paper 2, page 2 there. We can see that we must specify which language we want to use. So for this video, I've chosen Python. So make sure you mark on your paper which language you've actually programmed it. So let's jump in and have a look at the first question. So question 1. Computer programs make use of many programming constructs. Identify which one of these is a logical operator. A, modulus, B, or, C, greater than or equal to, or D, equals. The correct answer is B, it is or. B, describe one difference between a one-dimensional array and a two-dimensional array. So the difference is that 1D arrays represent items as a list, 2D as a table, as rows and columns. Now we're going to start programming, so we need the data files for this. Open Q01C in the code editor. So as always, I've linked to these files down in the description, including the Java and C#, should you wish to look at those. The program should calculate how many £20 notes are in £113 and how much is left over. What's the change? There are 3 errors in the code. Amend the code to correct the errors. Save the amended code as Q01C finished with the correct file extension for the programming language. So let's save it first as Q01C finished and then we'll amend the errors. So we'll save it, Q01C finished, and finished needs to be capital letters, .py, Python file, save. Now I can run it and find the errors. So you might be able to look at this program and immediately see the errors in there. That's great, then just correct them straight away. But if you can't see the errors, then the best thing to do is to let Python find them for you. So we do that by running the program. And we can see that we've got invalid syntax there. So here we can see invalid syntax. So there's a problem there. So just close that and we'll fix that right away. There should be another plus there. So we can see we've got plus, there should be a plus there as well. So run it again and you must save it. Invalid syntax again. Here's another syntax error. So we close that and we can fix that. Leftover, if we look up there, leftover's got an underscore in it. So that's missing that. That doesn't match that. So we put the underscore in there. Then we run it again, save it. Num20s is not defined. This is our third error. Num20s is not defined. Okay, num20s equals amount, num20s. Now, problem is this double equal sign there, because we haven't assigned that a variable a value. We haven't assigned that variable a value there. With the double equal sign, we put an operator in there. We haven't assigned it a value. So we delete that double equal sign and now we run it again. Save it. And now we fixed the code. So the best thing to do with, and you will get a question like this in any paper, because I've seen it in every single paper, 2019, 2020, 2021. You'll get a program like this. You need to fix 3 errors. The best thing to do is that, unless you can spot the error straight away, is to actually run the program and let Python do the work there. So we've saved that and now we've got 3 marks. So we move on to D. Raoul has written a program that counts the number of vowels in a sentence. Open Q01D in the code editor. So here is Q01D and we do not need to do anything really with it. What we need to do is add comments, so add the hash symbol and comments in the code to find all of these 4 things. So we need to find where there's a relational operator first and then comment that to show where it is. So if we look here, we can see the double equal sign. There's a relational operator. So I'm going to put a comment in there. Relational operator. So that's 1 mark there. We'll save it in a minute as Q01D finished. Where does iteration start? Well, we've got a for loop there, and there's iteration. We've got another for loop there, and we've got another for loop there. So we could have either of those. So I'm just going to go with the first one there. Iteration starts here. 3, at the end of the line where the selection starts. So we've actually got two things here. We've got selection as well as a relational operator. So I'm just going to write in there, I'm going to put a full stop, selection starts, because I've got two on one line there. So I've got relational operator and selection. Selection is if. Remember, there are three programming constructs: sequence, selection, and iteration. Now, we're looking for all three of those there. So we have found selection there. We've got iteration. So now number 4, where the data structure is initialized. Now I've got two things up here. Data structure, that means an array. I've got vowels, A, E, I, O, U. I'm going to use that, or I could have num-vowels, 0, 0, etc. I'm going to go with A, E, I, O, U. So I'm going to write in there, data structure initialized. Now, we're not asked to find sequence, because basically sequence is most of these lines of code here. That's a sequence, but that is selection, iteration, and we've got our data structure in there as well. So now we need to save it as Q01D finished. So save as Q01D finished. Make sure you save it in the proper folder and you're clear about where that should be, because that's going to go to the examiner. All of these programs are going to go to the examiner. We click save and then we're done. And that completes question 1 for a total of 10 marks. Question 2. A book club uses computer applications. A. The club wants a program to ensure that logins are valid. A flowchart for a test version of the program has been designed. Test version uses the username of bard423, a password of NX2934 ? Here's the flowchart. So we've got the flowchart here. Start, initialize variables, enter username and password. Are they correct? No. Display error message. Yes. Display welcome message. Stop. So what we're going to do is write a program to implement the logic in the flowchart. So this is Q02A here, and we need to create the program and then we need to save it as Q02A finished. And this is a very typical kind of program, typical question here. For this question, you could either get a flowchart or pseudocode. I think personally I prefer pseudocode because it's slightly easier to interpret, but the flowchart is fairly straightforward as well here. So we're going to write the program. So very helpfully I'm given comments there as to where I need to put everything, and I'm going to start with initializing the variables. So I'm going to create a variable called username, and I'm given the username of bard423. So username is a string and it's bard423. I'm given that. That's what it's got to be. And password, and that's got to be again a string, NX, this capital X, 2934, and don't forget the question mark at the end there. So I'm initializing the variables there. Now perhaps I need to create a count to count the number of times that users enter the password. So just go back and have a look at that. Initialize the variables, enter username and password. Are they correct? No. Display error message, and then stop. So what I want to do is allow them to enter their password, and if they get it wrong, they get another go. So I'm going to initialize a variable called count and set it to 0 at the start. Now I'm going to use a while loop in a minute to loop while the username and password is incorrect. So in order to be able to do that, I need to initialize a variable called input username here, and that's going to be a string, and then input password, and again that's going to be a string. So now I've initialized my variables, I can start to do the username and password bit and check it. So I'm going to have a while loop. While input username is not equals to, so not equals to username, or input password is not equals to password. So while that is true, I'm going to say if count is greater than 0, so if they've had more than one go, remember the indent, print, there is a problem. please try again. So get them to try again. So when they've had more than one go, they're going to try again. Count and add 1 to the count. Count equals count plus 1. So if they've had more than one go, input username equals input, and we know it's going to be a string. And I keep putting that @ symbol. I'm using a slightly different keyboard. Please enter your username, and now input password equals input. Can do this in 2 lines, but we try to do it in 1 so it's more efficient coding. Please enter your password. Okay, and then to get it right, we print a welcome. So let's save that and run that. So it must be saved as Q028 and in capitals, caps lock on, finished. So now I can run it, and I missed off the colon. So big advice here is always run your program. Don't just assume it's going to work. I missed a colon off there. I've got a syntax error. Make sure you do run the program. So we're going to run it again and check it works. So username, I'm just going to check it actually works now. 423. Password, we'll put it in correctly, and then we'll check if what happens if I put in the wrong one. Welcome. So that's worked. Okay, run it again and we'll try it with something. We'll just put in random. Okay, and it asks me to try again like that. So that works. So I'd recommend that you test your program, you definitely run it. You've got time to run the program. Make sure you do run it at the end when you've written it. You don't just assume it's going to work, because I found a syntax error that I didn't spot. Okay, so make sure you run the program and test it with different combinations there. So if it's a password program, you check it with the right password, username and password. You also check it with the wrong one as well. It should work for both. So that completes that, and that is a total of 11 marks. B, the club sells books. It needs a computer program to monitor the number of books sold, the amount of profit made. Q02B provides a structure for the program. Open Q02B in the code editor. Here we can see Q02B, and we've got the if, elif, and else there that are missing. So we can see the if has got space there, elif has got space, but the else hasn't, so there's going to be something underneath there. So that's where I'm going to write my code. So the first one, if books sold is at least 5, profit made is at least 10, I'm going to write my condition in there. So variable is called books sold, capital S, camel case there, less than 5, or profit under 5, poor performance this week. So this is poor performance this week. So if the number of books sold is less than 5 or profit is under 5, then it's poor performance this week. So next one, sales and profit are excellent this week, and that is over 20 and at least 20 for profit. So I need to put my elif in here. Books sold, capital S again. So that's greater than 20. Now one thing to note there is the and profit is at least 20. So that means greater than 19. So I need to put greater than or equal to 20. And profit greater than or equal to 20. Sales and profit are excellent this week. Sales and profit are good this week, the next one. So number of books sold is at least 5 and profit is at least 10. So books sold greater than or equal to 5 and profit greater than or equal to 10. When you see at least, it means greater than or equal to. So it's 10 or more. At least means 10 or better. Else, all other inputs, alert manager. So we need to print alert manager. Okay, so now we save it and run it. Save as, caps lock on, run. Test it out. Let's say 21 and profit was 20. Excellent this week. Okay, that works. Now, can test that for each condition if you want to. It's up to you, but you should at least test it for one and that is 4 marks. So at least run the program and test it for at least one condition there. I'm going to assume that the rest of it works. C, and this completes question 2, boundary testing is an important part of program development. The boundary value is the most extreme value that will pass the test, so that is at the extreme ranges. For example, the boundary condition is no more than 30, then the boundary test data would be 30, so it's explaining that there to you. Complete the test table to show the boundary test data that could be used for each test. And before we answer this question, it's just worth pointing out that when some people have answered this question, they haven't quite read that description there. Maybe they've just kind of skim read it and not really taken that in. It just kind of explains how to answer that question. So make sure you do read the question very, very carefully and read it a couple of times if you need to. You've got time to do that. Don't just assume you know what it's saying. So the people that have done best on this question have taken the time to read this and really make sure that they understand it. So the test data for poor performances this week, if we just go back and look at that, poor performance means under 5 and profit under 5. So it's not going to be 5. The test data isn't going to be 5, or the profit isn't going to be 5. It's going to be less than 5 and it needs to be at the boundary. So the answer is it's 4 and 4. And that gives us poor performance this week. And just tidy that up to put that on the right line there. So next one, sales and profit are good this week. So that is, if we go back and look at that, it's at least 5 and profit is at least 10. So books sold is going to be 5 and profit is going to be 10. So there's my answer for that one. Now the last one, sales and profit are excellent this week. So we go back and look at this table here. What do we need for excellent? We need over 20 and profit at least 20. So books sold over 20, so that's going to be 21, and profit needs to be 20, and that's going to be the boundary. So remember, for boundary data here, it needs to be at the extreme ranges. We've got typical, erroneous, and extreme test data there, and we were asked to test the X, the extreme, the boundary ranges. That completes question 2 for a total of 18 marks. Question 3. Several encryption algorithms have been developed. Ahmed has started to create a Caesar cipher encryption program. Caesar cipher encryption works by giving a number value to a key. Each letter in plain text message is replaced by a new ciphertext letter using the key. For example, as shown in the table, a key value of +2 would change the plain text message encrypt to the ciphertext message GPETARV. Because E would become +2, so E, F, G, N, M, N, O, P, etc. So remember, plain text is the message we want to encrypt, and ciphertext is what we want to get to. That's the scrambled, encrypted message. Ahmed's program already converts from plain text to ciphertext. He wants to extend the program to accept the input of a plain text message, accept the input of a key, which must be a positive integer between 1 and 25, write the generated ciphertext to a text file named cipher.txt, display the ciphertext. Open Q03A in the code editor. So here is Q03A, and we see we've got comments as to where we need to write our code. There. So we've got 4 places there, 4 bullet points. So 4 bullet points, 4 places, and total mark is 8. So I'll go through this and talk about how this is marked. So the first thing we need to do is add your code to get the plain text to convert it to lowercase. So we see we've got a variable called plain text. I'm going to use that, equals input. So we need to get the plain text now. Please enter your plain text. Now we need to convert it to lowercase. Plain text, variable plain text equals plain text, and we can use .lower. The built-in function .lower with the brackets there. So that will convert it into lowercase. Next point, add your code to get the key and make sure it's between 1 and 25. So see I've got a key, I'm going to use the variable key there. So I'm going to use a while loop to check that it is between 1 and 25. So while key is less than 1, or key greater than 25, Okay, so if they do enter 0, a key of 0, then they'll be asked to enter it again. If they do enter a key of 26, that's too much, they'll be asked to enter it again. So because I know you've got the syntax error there, colon, it didn't indent for me, so it should be indented there. So key equals integer input and the message. Please enter a key between 1 and 25. Close double brackets there. So that will be 2 marks there, so we're now up to 3 marks. Ciphertext is generated. Okay. So we've done all that. We've done the ciphertext there. That code has already been given to us there. So now we need to add your code to write the ciphertext to a text file. So we need to create a handle, a variable called cipher file. This is going to be my ciphertext file. Cipher file equals open. Now it does specifically say it should be called cipher.txt. So we need to put that there. .txt, very important. And then what do we want to do? We want to write. There are 3 things we could do there. Write, append, or read. Remember, it has war. Write, append, or read. Now, we want to write because we want to create the text file. Append will just add to the text file. And then I'll get a runtime error because the text file doesn't actually exist. It wants to add to a text file that doesn't actually exist. I don't want to just simply read to it. I want to create the text file. So I need to use W for write. Then I want to output to it cipher file dot write ciphertext. Spell it right there. Ciphertext. So I want to output the ciphertext. Cipher file dot write. Write to the cipher file what, in brackets, whatever is in the variable, stored in the variable ciphertext, which is now in there. Now at the end of that, you must close that, otherwise it won't work. If you don't do that, you won't get the text file appearing in your folder, which is what should happen. Add your code to display the ciphertext. Those 3 bits of code there are another 3 marks, so now up to 6 marks. Now I need to add my code to display the ciphertext. It's just simply a print line, and that's going to print the contents of the variable ciphertext. So now I need to save it and test it and run it. So we save it as always, Q03A caps lock on, finished, save, run, enter my plain text, test, a key of 2. Okay, now that seems to have worked, but let's go to the folder and check that it's there. So you should see in your folder, cipher.txt should be there, and just pointing to it here, it exists here. Now, if that doesn't exist, if that isn't in your folder, then something has gone wrong and you need to double check that that's worked. But there is my cipher.txt. That will be 8 marks. Now I can move on to B. Explain one reason why the Caesar cipher is a weak encryption algorithm. Well, there's only a limited number of keys we can have. Realistically, up to 25, and with brute force, we could easily crack the code. I think for a simple word, once you've got a couple of letters or a few letters, you could probably crack it quite easily. So it is quite a simple cipher method. And with brute force, it can easily be cracked. So my answer then, there are a limited number of keys, and with brute force, the method can easily be cracked. And here we've got a very interesting question. We've got a Visionaire cipher. Apologies if I've mispronounced that, but that's how I pronounce it in class. A Visionaire cipher encrypts plain text using a series of Caesar ciphers based on letters of keyword and a Visionaire square. So here's the square that you need. Looks fairly daunting, but isn't. It's just an alphabet, really. Okay, got 26 across there. Complete the table to perform a Visionaire decryption of the ciphertext message using the keyword 30. Now the keyword is really important here. Without the keyword, we cannot decrypt the message. So what I need to do is to start this off, I need to write the keyword letter in there. So now you can see I've written my keyword and I write it over and over again to fill all the spaces, 30, and it would go on and on like that. So now I need to start with that keyword letter T. And what I need to do is take it up to the square here. I need to find T. I need to find T down the left-hand side. So T is here. You can see I've highlighted that. Now I need to look at the encrypted letter. It's F. So I need to go along here to F. Then I need to look up and I find my encrypted letter, and that is M. There. So my first letter is going to be M. Now I'll do a couple more. H. So I need to find H down the left-hand side. Remember, I'm starting with the keyword letter there, H. Here's H. You can see H is there. And I need to look up, and it was L, so I need to go along to L there. And that's an E. So my next letter is an E. So the next keyword letter is I. So we look up to I. I is here. Okay. And I need to find M. M is here. And that's going to be also an E, another E. So M, E, E. And I want to keep going through that. Remember to start with the keyword letter and then look at the encrypted letter. So I'm going to end up with my decrypted letter, my message, meet at dawn. Obviously there's something going to happen at dawn. They're going to meet at dawn. Maybe they're going to do an escape at dawn or something like that. This meet at dawn is the answer there. D. A user-defined function uses a visionary cipher to encrypt plain text into ciphertext. The pseudocode shows how the function is called. And then you've got the pseudocode set ciphertext to ciphertext, etc. there. State what would be returned by this function. What will be returned is cipher letter. 2. Give the name of one parameter passed to this function. So we're looking at anything in the brackets there. Keyword letter or plain text letter. So I'm going to go with keyword letter. 3. Explain what is meant by built-in subprogram. It's a program within a program. And the built-in bit means it's already defined. So write our answer. And examples of that could be when we import random, import math in Python, they're built-in subprograms. They're already defined and I don't need to write any code for them. And that completes question 3 for a total of 17 marks. Question 4. Zach sells snacks at an after-school club. A. You want a program that will hold details of the products he sells. The program must generate a 5-character product code that starts with the first 3 letters of the product name, ends with a random number between 10 and 30, display the product code followed by the product name. And as always, each bullet point will give us a certain number of marks. Open Q04 in the code editor, write the program. So here is Q04A, and we can see that at the top there we've got import random. Now we need to get the input. So we create a variable called product name input, enter the product name. So now they enter the product name. So first thing we need is the actual product name there. And now we need to generate a random number between 10 and 30 inclusive. So random num, random dot randint, random integer to generate a random integer between 10 and 30. So we need to put 10, 30, that means it will generate a random number between 10 and 30. Inclusive means all the numbers, so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way up to 30, etc. So now we're up to about 3 marks of this program. Next point, generate the product code. First 3 letters of the product name, and, just move this out, random number. So product code, no big secret, we just call the variable product code equals product name. So we're going to do some string handling now. We've got the product name, so we need to put square brackets 0 colon to 3. So we take the product name, we take the first 3 letters, so treating it as an array, takes the first 4 letters there, well, first 3 letters, sorry, 0 to 3, and convert to string, really important, our randomly generated random num. So we now display the product code and the product name. Now we can print that off. Product code and space and product name. Let's close brackets. As always, we save it, Q048 finished, caps lock, and now we can run it and check it works. So enter the product name, test, so it generates me a random product code there, TES13, and outputs the name as well. So product code and product name, test there, and that is finished. And that's 7 marks. Question B, Zach plans to implement a binary search algorithm to search a table of products. 1. Explain one advantage of a binary search compared to linear search. So, if you remember from previous videos, linear search looks for each item one after the other in a linear fashion. So it will search each element of the array of the list that it's looking for. It will search each element till it finds the item it wants. A binary search halves the list, then halves it again till it finds the correct element. So with a binary search, we remember that the elements need to be in order for that to work, because it will make assumptions that it's either higher or lower and discount part of the list. I have made a video on this before, so please go and have a look at that. So we'll answer this question now. So my answer is, a binary search halves the list each time so it can be faster to find an item. 3. Figure 2 shows an algorithm for a binary search. So you can see the algorithm there. We've got 19 lines plus comments and a space. This binary search algorithm will be used to search the product list for the product code STR15. Complete the table to indicate the order in which the product codes will be examined by the algorithm. Write the number, the first product code to be examined, 2 by the second code, and so on. So you've got product code there and order examined. So we'll look at this. We're trying to find STR15 in this list of product codes. So go and look at the algorithm. So we put that in, string keyboard, repeat, mid position equals start position plus end position divided by 2. So we've got our start position, which is set to 1, our end position there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we divide that by 2. So we're going to start at position 4 in the list, DRI 15. Now we go into this if product list mid position is less than product search, yes, start position equals mid position plus 1. So the first order I examine is position 4, dry 15. This is slightly awkward because there's an even number of elements in this list. So we divide that by 2, we round that down. So we're going to start there. Okay. So now, if product list mid position, yeah, what I'm looking at is less than product search, it is. Start position equals mid position plus 1. So I'm going to start there, mid position plus 1. Okay. So now, mid position, back into the loop. Mid position equals start position plus end position divided by 2. So it's 5, it's 8 divided by 2. So 5 plus 8 is 13. Divide that by 2. That gives me 6.5. So I'm going to start with second position there is rib 10. So number 2 is rib 10 because we're rounding that down. Okay. If product list is less than product search, yes it is, because STR15 is less than RIB10. Start position equals mid position plus 1. Okay, so we're going to start in the element 7 there, position in list 7. Okay, mid position equals start position divided by 2. Okay, so I'm going to be in position 7 now. Now that is actually the product code. So if we go back and look at this, we've got repeat until product list mid position equals product search, or product search or start position equals end position. Okay, so my mid position now is equal to the product search. So that's where I can stop. I found the element in the array, and that's where I can now stop. And that is the binary search. By halving the algorithm, what we had to do was round it down. So when we divided that by 2, we rounded that down to get to the position we're in. It's slightly awkward because we've got an even number here, which makes it slightly more difficult. So that's the answer to this question here. 3. Zach has another list containing the names of 5 students who attend the after-school club. Give the maximum number of names that would need to be examined by the binary search algorithm to determine whether a name appears on the list. Now, with a list of 5 students, it would be 3. The answer would be 3. And if you think about it, it would split the list in half and half again. And it would take a maximum of 3 goes to find the name. 4. Give the name of an algorithm that could be used to sort a list. You could have bubble sort or merge sort there, and that completes question 4 for a total of 15 marks. Question 5. Bianca started to write a program. The program is a guessing game about countries and their capital cities. Open Q05 in the code editor. The program already displays this menu, so let's go and open Q05. So here is Q05, so it already displays this menu. So ask for the menu choice. Write the program code for the menu choices. Menu 1 adds player name. If a player chooses this option, they must input a player name. Menu choice 2, play guess the capital city. So if the user chooses this option, they must answer 5 questions. They select a question to answer by choosing a valid question number. Each question can be selected once. Question should be displayed. They must input the name of the capital city. If they guess correctly, their score must be incremented by 1. If they guess incorrectly, the correct answer must be displayed. Menu choice 3, end game. Your program should function correctly even if the number of countries and capital cities file is increased. Save your code as Q05 finished. Okay, let's go and have a look at that now. So this is the big 20-mark question, and as 20-mark questions go, this is, I think, relatively straightforward. You're given some code already, and compared with some 20-mark questions I've seen for question 5, it's fairly straightforward, it's fairly simple. So you can see def add player name there. We've got that choice there, and we just go and look at that, completed subprogram displays the menu. So display the menu, get menu choices there. Okay, so def add player name. Let's create the code for that now. Now I'm going to create a variable called player, and that's going to be a string, and use that in a while loop. While player is equal to nothing. So while player is empty and they haven't put in a player input, it's going to be a string. Please enter the player name. Now, that needs to be returned to main code. That's got to be returned. So now we need to do something with that in the main program down here. So add your code to call the relevant subprogram if the menu choices 1 or 2. So we've got number 1 done now. So we need to go underneath there and we need to write our suitable choice. So if menu choice is equal to 1, then player name equals add player name. So that will call the function add player name. Now I'm going to save this, and if you're struggling with this, remember you're going to get marks for each part you get right. So I've already got myself a few marks for this. I can run this and we'll just see if we got it to work. So add player name. Okay, so that's worked there. Assuming that's going to have worked. Okay, so even if I can't do the next bit, I've got myself some marks, a few marks from getting that to work there. So every mark is important in this exam. So just getting part of it. What you can't do is just avoid this question at all completely. Try and get it to work. Try and do part of it, and hopefully get some more of it to work. We will add more to this and gain more marks as we go along. Let's do the guess capital function now. So we need to add some code in here to be able to do this. I'm going to put a while in. So I'm going to give them 5 questions. While question count is less than or equal to 5. It could be less than 6 if you wanted to, less than or equal to 5 here. Question choice, so take away 1 from the question choice, and question numbers. So 2 variables there, initialize question numbers is a string. So now, I'm going to build a string containing the questions numbers available. For questions in questions, if question is not equal to 0, question numbers, adding the question there, and a space. Now I need to ensure the valid question number is chosen. So while string question choice is not in question numbers, question choice is equal to int input. So we're getting them to pick a number. Now we're getting them to choose a number. So now we want to get the country and its capitals. Country equals countries, question choice -1. Capital, it's indented it for some reason, just go back. Capital equals capitals, take away 1 from the question choice there. Now we need to display the country and get the guess. Guess equals input. What is the capital of a country? And a question mark, dot lowercase to avoid any problems. So now, if the guess is correct, display the message and increment the score. So if they got it right, I don't know why my indenting keeps going out there. So print and a message to say well done, you guessed correctly. And I want to question score. So now the else. Otherwise display the country name and the correct capital. Print. You did not guess correctly. The capital of the country is, and capital. Scroll down. So now what I need to do is increment the number of questions asked. Put on a new line. Question count +1. Now I need to set the question number to 0 so that it cannot be guessed again. Questions, question choice, and now I simply need to return question score. So that bit is just about done. I need to do menu choice 2 now. So I'm just going to simply copy this, and to save time I'm going to reuse some of that code. Just changing the if to elif. Menu choice equals 2. Score equals guess capital. And then an else to deal with any other alternatives. This is number 3. So if they choose 3, end game, and we display the name and the score. Well done, player name, and capital T, the score is, and score. Let's give them their score. Close brackets, close brackets. Let's save that. So I'm now running it. I had a syntax error. I didn't have enough brackets on this line here, line 58. Now I've corrected that. So I'm going to input my player name, and I'm going to play guess capital sitting, choose 2, to France there, pick a number again for Italy. I'm going to try Rome. Okay, 5. Berlin, 7. Wales. Let's maybe get one wrong. Capital China. Let's put Hong Kong. Let's get it wrong. Did not guess correctly. The capital China is Beijing. There could be a space in there, but I'm not too worried about that. We could add that now. So that seems to work. So let's end game. Well done, Bob. The score is 4. There could be a space between well done and Bob there, but we could sort that out later. That's a minor detail. So that works. And that completes the question there, 20 marks. Now just looking at the mark breakdown. So how do they mark a question like this? Well, there's 2 key elements to that. Just quickly go through that now. So you're going to get 11 marks out of 20 for basically all these bullet points here, getting them all to work. So you can see that if you get some of them to work, you're going to get some marks there anyway. In addition to that, you get 9 marks from band 1, 2 and 3. So you can go and look at the mark scheme and see this for yourself. This is on the last page 13 of the mark scheme. If you attempt to decompose the program, so maybe show some design at the start, which I didn't do, you could maybe do some design, you're going to get marks there. Logic is clear and appropriate to the program. Yeah. Code is clear and readable, so maybe we should have put some comments in there, if we're not sure. Program is finished. Program fully meets the given requirements. Now, if it meets some of the given requirements, you get mark band 1 to 3, band 2 for most of the given requirements. So you can see that even if you can't complete the program, you can still gain marks. So you must have a go at question 5. You can't just say, get to question 4, I've finished, I don't want to do anymore, I'm not going to be able to do this. You need to have a go. You're going to get marks for your attempt. And that's up to 20 marks. And 20 marks is very important. Even half of that is very important. 10 marks is going to change 1 or 2 grade boundaries possibly. So that completes the paper. And that completes the 2021 paper 2. As always, a massive thank you for watching, getting to the end. So thank you for getting to the end of this video. I hope it's helped. If it's helped, please write it's helped down in the description, down in the comments. Sorry, it really helps me. It also helps me if you like and subscribe. At the moment, it is near Christmas 2021. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it if you haven't subscribed. You click that bell icon, that subscribe button, that bell icon. Really appreciate it. And thanks as always for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.